Strathisla started its life as the brewery of the local monastery. That brewery history tells us it was turned into the Milltown Distillery by George Taylor and Alexander Milne in 1786 and is the oldest legally operating distillery in the Scottish Highlands and possibly all of Scotland. By 1830, the distillery was owned by William Longmore and stayed in the family as William Longmore Limited until it was purchased in 1940 by the fraudulent financier James Pomeroy, who bankrupted the business. In 1950, James Barclay purchased the distillery at an auction for Seagrams, which turned it over to Chivas Bros a short time after, which of course is now Pernod Richard. The distillery has had several names through the years: Strathisla, Milltown, then Milton, and since 1951, Strathisla, but the whiskey was always known as Strathisla. With its beautiful gardens, postcard pagodas, and antiquated buildings, Strathisla is known as Scotland's prettiest distillery, which makes it a major tourist attraction. It now has the role of being the home of Chivas Regal, in which it plays a major part of that blended whiskey. Strathisla Distillery is located next to the River Isla Moray on the outskirts of the whiskey city of Keith in the Speyside region. Well, welcome to Noel's World of Whiskey. And yes, you can see I've got a winter t-shirt on, but it's incredibly hot outside. I think I was trying to convince myself that it was cool weather. But anyways, went for a long bike ride. Beautiful, beautiful weather really for biking, but you got to have that wind coming at you. And we live in paradise here. You know, we have a little bit of Scotland, but every once in a while get a little bit of California. So here on Vancouver Island, I am going to do another Noel's World of Whiskey review. And this one here is something I've had in the cupboard for a while. You know, I've got about 300 whiskeys, so how do I get them all reviewed? Well, sometimes it's impulse. I did the, my last one there was Tullibardine, and that is one of my favorites, and I was just amazed why it took so long to review Tullibardine. And now we have Strathisla. Now, I don't know what is more famous, the distillery, the beauty of that distillery, probably the postcard distillery of Scotland, or is it the whiskey? Now, this whiskey is very hard to get. There's been a rebranding. This bottle itself would be more difficult to get today. There is a few kicking around. This is 43%, and I get mixed stories. I did see one of the new bottlings at 43, but I'm hearing also there's some 40s out there. It's a bit of a mixed bag. Not a lot of it in the States. In fact, hardly any in the States from what I gather. So Canada, I've been looking. So that's why I'm sort of taking it easy on this bottle here. But anyways, we'll have some when I get back to Scotland next year. So we're going to do a review on Strathisla. I do reviews and stuff that I know a lot of people probably are not going to read except for curiosity, because they're not going to have this bottle, or they do have it and they're just curious what I think of it. So I'm more into the fun of doing a review than trying to get a bunch of hits on YouTube. I mean, my gun and my bow videos get huge hits, and of course those are from the Americans. They love their guns, they love their bows. But in whiskey, I really, sometimes I think it is a struggle to keep going steady, keep pumping them out. But I do like to do a decent review, so I'm going to try to speed this one up. I'll stop babbling. Let's get into it. We're going to obviously start with the nose, but I always sneak a little bit of history. How do I condense this history? Well, I'm multitasking. I'm pouring a dram and letting it sit for a bit here. Probably it doesn't need to. Should be doing this more often with the fresh bottles. This one here is not a fresh bottle. So anyways, we're going to let it sit a bit. And oh, the bottle and the box. You might not get a chance to see this box again. There it is. The old timer. It's been rebranded. I love this box, but the new box is, I guess it's with the times. I'm not crazy about it, but it's with the times, and I'm not necessarily the best guy for marketing this product. And there's that classic bottle. Again, you're not going to get this on the new bottle. So, as you can see, it's a 43. Great bottle. Anyways, Strathisla. And it's no connection to Isla. So, what can we say about Strathisla? Well, I am going to do a condensed history of it. And basically, it kind of started off with the monks having a brewery in a monastery. And eventually, it was taken over by a distiller. They basically started up a distillery there, and that was actually Alexander Milne and George Taylor, and they licensed it. And that was in 1786, so it makes it the oldest register. Well, there's an argument here. Whether it's the oldest, it's certainly in the top three as being the oldest in Scotland, but certainly the oldest in the Highland, because it is a Highland distillery, because they did register it back in 1786. And basically, up till 1823, when the distillery was purchased by MacDonald Ingram Co, went through some ownership changes. It was 1830. Well, the well-known Longmore family purchases this distillery. That was actually William Longmore in 1830, and in 1880 Longmore retires. That was a long career for William Longmore, and he passes it to his son-in-law, John Geddes Brown, who creates William Longmore and Company. In 1890, the distillery its name was changed to Milton Distillery. And in 1940, J. Pomeroy purchases a majority of the shares of the company, but is jailed for tax evasion, and the distillery is bankrupt. There's a whole story there. I'm not going to get into it, but he was a pretty corrupt fellow, but he did get nailed, but it almost killed the distillery. Acting on behalf of Seagram, Jimmy Barclay purchased the distillery. Now, Jimmy Barclay was a really well-known broker back in the 50s, and he was basically acting on behalf of Charles Bronfman with Seagram, and he picks it up at the auction for £71,000. We started seeing some change happening, because now we got some money behind it again, and the distillery's name is changed once more to Strathisla, and that's the river next to it. And of course, there's 2 additional stills that are installed in 1965. So now it's got 4 stills. And then from there, we are looking at a run of peated whiskey. They did a run, and it was called Craig Duff, and it was 1970. It was a short run. And by 2001, they had become part of the Chivas Bros, which of course was purchased by Pernod Richard. And so this is a big part of Chivas Regal. Very big part of Chivas Regal. And the Strathisla in 2013, the brand was rebranded, the packaging was rebranded, and I'll show you some pictures of the new whiskey. So that was a pretty high-speed history I gave you there, which I was going to try to do. And now we are going to get into the nose. And by the way, one of the most beautiful distilleries in Scotland. I will definitely tour it. It's a postcard is what it is, and evidently when you go in it's just full of passageways, narrow passageways, and you don't really know where you're going until you get to the still room, etc. I've talked to people who've actually toured it. They say it's worth the tour. Beautiful gardens, etc. Ooh, that is. I haven't noticed this for a while. I forgot. It is nutty, floral. What a fragrance! Whoa, this is good. This would make a really good underarm deodorant. It's a little better than that. If you accidentally spilled some on you there, you'd smell better. But besides being a great cologne, it's got a great nose, fantastic nose, a really good nose. This is an old bottle. It's a strong nose. I'm getting the wood, definitely getting some malt, and here comes the citrus notes, fig bars, Danish pastry, and more floral notes, honey, oodles of honey, fireweed honey. I could just keep nosing this. It's a beautiful nose. It's one of those sad things. It's one of those happy things that I have not nosed this in a year or so. So beautiful stuff. We've got to do the palate. To the palate. Right off the bat, Balvenie. Very much Balvenie. Wee bit of lymphatic. Believe it or not, wee bit of Bladnoch. So it's a little bit of lowland coming in here into the Highland. But that's nice stuff. 43% ABV. I'm going to chew it a bit. I just wanted to drink the last one. It's such a nice drink. Lots of nuts. Walnuts. Walnuts and very malty. Granola notes, but more of a straight granola. Oaty. I said date bars. I used Fig Newtons last time, and I really was going to start using that more because there is a bit of Fig Newton to this. But chocolate, creamy chocolate. Not a real hit of real dark chocolate. More of a sort of a medium milk, dark milk chocolate is what it is. A creamy chocolate. But wee bit of coffee, just a wee bit of coffee. Not super spicy. Has a definite distinctive taste there with the nuts though. That seems to be part of the character of this drink. And digging down a little deeper, wee bit of smoke in here. Not sure where it's coming from. I really don't know. I'll have to do some research on that. It could be the cask management. This could be, charred cask, or maybe there is a little bit of peat mixed in there. I don't know, but it's very slight, but fruity, and different types of fruit hitting me. Like it's not just one fruit hitting me, and even a wee bit of banana came in. But not overpowering banana like some drinks that I really don't like it when it's overpowering. Boy, it is. It's got blackberries, and then it's got a little bit of lemon stuff going on, lemon tea. So a little bit of lemon tea and blackberries. So I'm going to go for the finish. Oh, I just got a little bit of Gaelic. So I'm getting all these different drinks that, I know these drinks, I drink them on a regular basis. That's why I'm identifying with them. So just a bit of Craigellachie, just for a moment. It was a little bit of the sulfur notes. That's what I was identifying with Craigellachie. Wee bit of the sulfur notes. But then again, it could have been a little bit of Glenfarclas too, somewhere between there. So there was just some real minor sulfur notes coming in. And that's amazing for an older whiskey like that. They usually disappear, right? But pleasant. Not complaining. Finish, This is surprising, 43%. This is definitely, it's in the medium area, which I'm really quite surprised. I'm actually very surprised a bottle that's been sitting a long time like that. And I don't know, how full is this thing? It's a little over half full. Dark bottle. I wonder if that helps, having the dark bottle when you pull it out into the light. But I'm not keeping it in a freezer like some people do. They keep their whiskey in a freezer for it to last forever. I'm not going to last forever, so I do hope to have a bit, enjoy some of my whiskey. But as for the finish, I will say medium finish. Good coating on the tongue, like a real pleasant coating. Not thin, not thick, somewhere in between. I like it. I really like this presentation here. So I am going to add a bit of drop water. I wasn't thinking of adding water, but I think it'll take it. So let's do it. We're on an adventure. I don't know if I've ever added water to this before. This is a first. Strath Isla. I'm adding water, just a bit, not much. So, what is it going to be like with water? I never drowned it, I just put a small drop in. It does what it's supposed to do. It's given me some confectionery notes. It's throwing a little bit of vanilla at me and amplifying the honey notes. The lemon's still there, the floral notes are still there. I haven't lost any of, I'm getting a little ginger now. I didn't get ginger before, so I got some ginger happening here. Yeah. To the palate now, with water. With the palate, don't add too much water. I'm going to tell you right off the bat. You can drown this one. Just a couple drops, that's all you need. I'm getting some spices. I'm getting the ginger. I'm getting a little bit of nutmeg. There's a lot of different things that went on with this drink, from where I started to where I am right now. Licorice. I don't usually get, when I add a drop of water, I sometimes lose that stuff, but here it's bringing it out. The mystery of whiskey, I think a lot of it is not adding too much water. I put a drop in. I think that's the key. Maybe it was a long drop, but it was a very small amount. And I think that's the key. It does open it up. This whiskey, it does have some complexity to it. I'm not going to say I've saw a few reviews on this. I don't know how many I've tasted. Oh God, close to. I'm going to say maybe not quite 1,000, but close to 1,000 whiskeys in my life. And I'm just starting to learn whiskey. Isn't that amazing? So I'm really not. I got to watch that. I'm not judgmental about reviewers or even their reviews. I don't always agree with them. There were a few reviews that said, lacks character. This does not lack character. This has ample character. There's a lot of interesting things that go on in this whiskey. It's good to let a whiskey sit for a while. It's good to take your time with the whiskey. Don't rush into it. There's a few reviewers that I have a high respect for, Roy with Aquaviti and Ralphie, that do take more time when they're drinking their whiskey. And a lot of people that I have a high respect for, old timers that I drank Scotch with, some of them are long gone, but they got me into the single malts and that. They were more patient. These weren't guzzlers of whiskey. They just sipped it and they let the whiskey sit for a while, and they would talk. This was before reviews were popular, so they were doing what the reviewers like Ralphie and Roy Aquaviti are doing today. It's kind of interesting that they take an analytic approach to it, whereas these old timers, they were already there. They just didn't have a whiskey channel. That was the difference. So I got a chance to drink with a few of those guys. And I started with blended way back, way back. I'm, 75 now. So I started with blended whiskeys way back what my dad brought back. We sneak into his liquor cabinet. But anyways, that's enough. Enough babbling. I am going to give this here an 85. Strath Isla, I give it an 85. It's a very good whiskey. I wish you could experience it. I would probably drink this more often. I just don't want to. I want to save it until I can get another bottle of it because it is very hard to get. So I think, boy, if you can get one of these, if you can find one, grab one. They're hard to get. And I'm hearing that from other people that noticed I have a Strath now. They say, oh, where did you get that from? So anyways, it's been fun. And I am going to ask you to drink wisely, drink intelligently. Do not drink and drive. Until the next time, so much.